Hey everybody, welcome to Monday. Uh, if the lighting seems weird, I got a new desk. I put it together. I'm still working the setup out, so forgive the working the bugs out for a while. You see, here's the corner of the new desk for a while. I don't know. I don't know. I am sort of in a state of boggle right now as I'm recording this. It's between the Square Enix and PC game show of the E3 online presentations. It's whelming. More on that in a bit. But also, there was no feedback Friday on Friday. That's because we lost our kitty, Delilah, on Thursday. She passed. She got very, very sick. It was her time. I'll talk more about that with the Patreons this week because I missed the Patreon video this week because it was Thursday. It all hit Thursday. And Twitch viewers might remember, you guys saw her the week before on Twitch. It was very, very sudden. So there'll be more on that with Patreon. You know the drill. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. And then, E3 started on Saturday this year. And I'm like, oh God, I'm not ready. But the Ubi conference, it was whelming for the most part, but at least it had more footage from Far Cry 6 and Rabbids plus Mario Kingdom Battle 2. And I mean, Kingdom Battle 2 alone, I loved the first game. So I'm good with that. I'm going to play the shit out of Far Cry 6. I know I am. So as whelming as the rest of it was, at least they had those two, right? Two. Not bad. Then there was no Beyond Good and Evil 2 anywhere. Bad. Remember I said in my E3 predictions thing, right, Cthulhu, right, that Beyond Good and Evil had to show something or we will grow concerned with this game. We are in concern territory. I'm not willing to say it's dead yet because it's Ubisoft. And I mean, that was one of the franchises that had some personnel trouble, like personnel changes during the Ubi troubles. But still, serious grounds for concern. So two of my Ubi predictions ended up being relevant. With Xbox, again, Game Pass. I was right on the money there. I was doing some calculations with whether Game Pass made sense for me. Because I like the idea of the service, but I want to make sure creators make money. And what I realized is because I tend to prefer games that either are indie or are very, very long, Game Pass still doesn't make sense for me. That doesn't mean Game Pass is a bad service. It just means I would probably not save money with Game Pass. Because, I mean, listen to the names of the games I wrote down. Dorfromantic, You Suck at Parking, Wizard with a Gun, Death's Door, Inscription, Demon Throttle, Party Animals, 12 Minutes, A Plague Tale Requiem. Okay, that's probably bigger. Far Cry 6, which won't be Game Pass. Slime Rancher 2, Replaced, Udian Chronicles, Age of Empires 4, which would not make sense to buy on Game Pass because I play that long time. The Outer Worlds 2 trailer was freaking hilarious, but there's no game there yet. And then Final Fantasy, the old school mobile remakes. That's not on Game Pass either. That's a Square Enix game. The only kind of AAA-ish games that I was like, oh, that looks cool, were the Guardians of the Galaxy game by the skin of its teeth at the Square Enix conference, and Far Cry 6. Halo is Halo. I'll talk about the Cortana basic Becky thing in a bit. But I mean, I'm going to pay for a game like 12 Minutes because they're an indie studio. I don't want them making pennies on the dollar with Game Pass. I want them to get the full price of the game. Now, if people can't afford it, if people are on fixed income and that Game Pass subscription is all they can afford, I'm very glad it's there. I think Game Pass has a place in the gaming ecosystem. Does it make sense for me to subscribe for Game Pass for the Halo Infinite campaign? Probably not. I until I hear otherwise, I will suspect that the Halo Infinite campaign is very short. And I haven't played a Halo game since they took out the couch co-op because that was one of the games I played with my husband. Now, the other thing going on with E3 this year is a focus on spin-off properties. So IP as television shows and movies. That sad, very sorry Gearbox presentation about the Borderlands movie where they couldn't show anything. That was friggin' painful to watch. The other problem I've been having is I keep having to mute sections because of licensed music, though it hasn't really caused that many problems, which tells you how much filler is in these trailers. But one of the big culture war things that was actually announced before E3 started was the Resident Evil series. And I am hesitant to dive into this because there's no winning here, but here goes, okay? Resident Evil Netflix live action series sees Lance Reddick as Albert Wesker, adds 5 more to the cast. Now, if you don't know who Lance Reddick is, he's a guy, he played a character in Horizon Zero Dawn. He's in Destiny. Is Zavala in Destiny? I don't remember. But he was on The Wire. I think he was in Quantum Break. I could be wrong. He's a very well-known actor. He's a good actor. The issue is not him. The issue is creating a character that's named Albert Wesker who isn't at all Albert Wesker. Like, Albert Wesker is not a dude trying to live a normal life with 2 precocious daughters, right? That's only the start of the troubles here. Big elephant in the room. You know, Albert Wesker is white. In the games, Lance Reddick is black. And this is why there is no winning when you get into this. Because the minute you express issue with the race swap, someone's going to call you racist, right? In this case, though, this is a character, and Netflix has said this is non-canonical, and I'm like, so why do it? This was like a Albert Wesker, not the Albert Wesker. Now, it's possible there was some sort of subsidiary of the Wesker program. I tried to reach for that. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how would this work? Is this a way that it could possibly work that isn't just a cynical race swap to, do diversity not well? And again, I love Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick is great. He's a really good actor. I might watch it just because it's him and go, this is an Albert Wesker, not the Albert Wesker. But when you delve into Resident Evil continuity, and again, my hesitation is this is the sound of people on the internet calling me a racist, even though, hear me out, please, of course they won't. Oswald Spencer, who founded the program that basically turned Albert Wesker and other Weskers, of whom only 2 that we know of survived, into basically the Ubermensch, which is a eugenics concept specifically tied into whiteness. It's racist. The whole, Oswald E. Spencer in Resident Evil is racist. It's sort of died in there. This is a guy who wiped out an entire advanced West African civilization for a flower. Okay, displaced a whole people. And I'm like, if you want to cast Lance Reddick in a Resident Evil series, why not make him part of the Indipaya diaspora, right? He could still have superpowers because they did, right? He can be part of that, and, he thought his family got out, but maybe he wasn't affected, but his daughters ended up getting powers or something like that, and they become, like, BSA agent, whatever. There's a way you could do that and deal with the fact that, Oswald Spencer is a bad dude. Like, this is, if you want to be woke, as silly as it is, the history of Umbrella gives you the opportunity in Resident Evil to do woke in that way. That is pretty much Resident Evil 1619 project, dealing with the fact that they displaced, and the hint is they kind of slaughtered too an entire West African society with advanced engineering for the time for a flower. Because the flower in Resident Evil 5 was like the mold in Resident Evil 7 and Village. So that's there, right? You could do 1619 Project Resident Evil, and it would be a perfectly valid series that could still be in canon, but no, they wanted the name Albert Wesker for some reason, which makes no sense and only seems like baiting to me. And then they go and say it's non-canonical. Well, okay, it's Resident Evil Elseworlds. Okay, so, we gonna get a Lady Dimitrescu series when? When she's still alive and, like, living it up? Kardashian style? Because I'd probably watch that. My Duke life instead of my 600-pound life? I don't know. Like, this just seems... If it wasn't a deliberate attempt to start people fighting on the internet, I don't know what was. I mean, if they want to do a whole, there was a Wesker project before there was the Wesker project, and they experimented on black people before they experimented on white people, okay, maybe that's the way they're doing. Captain America and company already did that, but I guess. But they're not even doing that. They're just saying it's non-canonical. Again, I don't see the point. I know there's a history of that with the movies. And yes, before you scream at me, I am aware that Wesker has an illegitimate son, a son he didn't know about. What's his name? Jake? But it just seems so weird. And this isn't, the weirdness with The Witcher of they wanted a main character who's a person of color. It isn't just any character. It isn't a character whose race doesn't matter, despite what people say. Albert Wesker was supposed to be a product of a program that created the perfect human. And in the minds of the people, and I may be reading into this, but part of the nefariousness of Spencer and Umbrella and all that stuff is they're not just white people. They're all like blonde and like that kind of look. There's definitely a very insidious like Nazi eugenics thing going on here, which is why Wesker's character in part that you love to hate, which is why Spencer's a great like ultimate villain in Umbrella. They are just evil. We get that. And it seems like Netflix doesn't get that. Because why would you turn Resident Evil's, Nazi-ish experiment into a black dude? It seems to completely miss the point. And makes me question other elements of the characterization, which is why I'm just saying I'm not going to give them my outrage. I'm not going to give them my OMG fight me, because this seems what this is calibrated to do. I'm just, you know how Luke Skywalker in the what's his name, The Last Jedi, Mark Hamill said he had to think of him as Jake Skywalker to do the part because that wasn't Luke. This is, Anne Albert Wesker, not a the Albert Wesker. Similarly, there was a big kerfuffle about the AI they showed in the Halo trailer that referenced Cortana, but is not Cortana. She looked kind of like Kat Dennings, chick from Thor and WandaVision. Meow Meow. Darcy, I think her character's name is. They were talking about Cortana in like the third person. That wasn't Cortana. But Cortana's clearly not replaced. I ended up calling that AI Basic Becky, all caps basic, get it? Computer language, haha, I thought it was funny. But that character is clearly not Cortana, like Cortana fill-in. And that's a case where, okay, the Halo lore caught itself into a bind because, yes, AI does go rampant. But the stuff I saw about, fanboys and, all that superior male ally shit that fanboys are going to be very disappointed. And I just want to stand up for people who still miss Cortana and still love Cortana, because to me, it's not about sexy Cortana. It's that they very clearly clear hints, I know, but they imply strongly that Chief is kind of in love with Cortana. It's not a sex thing. It's an emotional thing. Chief Cortana OTP, right? That's not oh my god, she's not sexy. A couple people online went, Cortana was ever sexy. Maybe they thought her voice, I don't know. I don't get the whole kerfuffle. But they are certainly spending a lot of time getting Cortana back. I joked that Halo Infinite is Star Trek 3, The Search for Cortana. Where Leonard Nimoy wanted to leave the franchise, and then, so they killed him off, and then it was like, no, he's coming back, and so they spent a whole movie getting him back, because how the hell do we revive a dead character? And I thought they were just gonna reboot from the beginning, like, because Cortana's based on a real person, but no, I kind of like the fact that, no, it's the real Cortana. They're gonna save Cortana. I think this is way more than a character design. I just think Halo is such a integral part of the histories of some people's gaming experience. Like, if you are Xbox generation, Cortana was like, a sort of patron saint, and people got very attached. And that is not a dominant sexual predator thing. That is a deeply emotional security and comfort thing. And I personally think it's healthy to see gamers develop those relationships. I think sometimes some people don't feel secure enough to express things in that way, so they just say she's hot, right? But I do think the undercurrent of it is that she's part of the package, right? She's original crew. And it's part of my issue with the Halo franchise is they kept peeling away characters that we grew to like the Arbiter, like Cortana, and replace them with this pack of interchangeable Spartans that may or may not survive an entire game, right? That kind of started with ODST and with Reach and all that stuff. It's not the same connection as Master Chief, Cortana, Arbiter. Halo 2 was like that team, right? Even like Johnson and all that stuff, like, right. And I didn't like seeing people try to bait that. If it happens, okay, you want to call it out, that's fine. But please don't make it a thing before it becomes a thing. And I'm saying not a thing. My audience is primarily male. I didn't see anybody doing it in the chat. People mentioned that she was covered up to here, but we're like, okay, that's not Cortana, right? Meanwhile, we've got a female character, this, black character, supposed to give her giant hoop earrings to go out and fight vampires that are grabbing people by the necks, right? Oh yeah, who's gonna go with their giant like hoop earrings to do something super dangerous? Well, they'll probably get caught and yanked out. Granted, okay, someone said fighting vampires is inherently surreal. However, if you're gonna complain about boobs, shouldn't we be more well-rounded about realistic depictions? Because, I'm not saying there aren't women who put on like the giant hoops to go jogging, but that's vanity. That's not practicality. And a seasoned warrior wouldn't do it. You don't see anybody climbing into a UFC octagon with giant ass hoop earrings. They don't even leave their hair because it's something they can grab, right? They got it shellacked. They got it like braided against their hair, right? So nobody can grab it. Now, I haven't talked very much about the Guardians game yet in terms of female character design. That's a tough one for me. This is from the Square Enix presentation. I'll sort of leave it here because this is sort of last, I guess, big game. Do we want to talk about that Marvel Avengers game that never quite came through? No, we're going to stick with Guardians. Guardians seems better. It's a different team. It's Eidos Montreal instead of Crystal Dynamics. Interestingly, both studios that were acquired that used to work on Lara Croft are doing Marvel stuff now. Lara Croft just seems to be in a coma at Square, which is so typical. You acquire this property, don't really know what to do about it, just sit on it for a while. But the Guardians game, the designs are... I wish they'd just gone a totally different direction, made it look more animated, made it look more comic booky, so it is completely separate from the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff. Because Star-Lord pretty much looks like Star-Lord played by Jake Paul, which fine, I don't care. Rocket is Rocket, Groot is Groot, but Gamora and Drax still look like the Zoe Saldana and Dave Bautista versions, only not. It's normal girl Gamora, which we do not want, right? She's kind of thick. She's got kind of a nice bum, but there's something weird about the way she walks. Like they slimmed down her legs in a way that didn't look so great. But it's the voice characterization that just did not sound kind of warrior-like enough to me. And then Drax is just small. Like Drax should be a big freaking hulking guy, like almost as wide as he is tall, and he's just kind of there. Now, that being said, the dialogue did seem really funny, and what they're doing with choice in that game intrigues me. So that's another one I may keep an eye on depending on price. I might get it on a sale just to play it as a sci-fi action game, not as Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I have to remove myself from... I am very attached to Guardians of the Galaxy. I was very happy to see Cosmo in the game, because that's one of my favorite Guardians of the Galaxy's covers ever. When that Cosmo and Rocket Raccoon cover came out, and I'm like, this is so amazing. This is exactly like what I want in comics. And I thought at the time, they will never make this into a movie. And then they did make it into a movie, and it was quite good. And I am very attached. And so it's like, all right, if I play it as just a good sci-fi action game, maybe I might actually like it. And this is what I think the exercise for me is going to be going forward. There are some games that is going to be very, very easy for me to like. Far Cry 6, Rabid Mario. Sold. Nothing but net. Age of Empires 4. I am there. Very eclectic tastes. I know. I'm all over the place with my games. I was going, oh my God, Forza Horizon. Like, I was explaining to people what made Forza Horizon good. That was an amazing tech demo. not crazy about some of the community features. I don't want a game deciding for me if my profile invites people to join me on games. That was a bit creepy for me. Maybe they didn't explain it well. But that the capture of the environments and the sky, mwah, well done. But I think as somebody who talks about this stuff for a living, who does have sort of an influence on people's window into this stuff, I do have a responsibility to try to find the good, even as, I focus on the stuff I didn't like so much. Like us going, is this Deathloop with the Arcane game at the end of it? And it turned out to be this Redfall IP because it's console exclusive to Xbox. We were like, what the hell's going on? But I am going to try to be as positive about stuff while still being honest as I possibly can, because I just do not want to be one of these miserable people fighting about Lance Reddick as Albert Wesker in a Netflix series. The minute it leaves games, I no longer care very much, right? Like, I don't. It's not the game anymore. Ass it up all you want. As long as the assing up doesn't influence the games, I don't give a shit. I don't have to watch, the TV show based on the game, based on the book. I can play The Witcher 3, right? I don't need Resident Evil non-canonical and Albert Wesker. I'm going to wait to see what Capcom says, because apparently there's Resident Evil Village updates, and I'm so there for that. Hopefully it'll be a Lady Dimitrescu preview. All the lords. I want all the lords. I liked all the other lords. Heisenberg was my least favorite lord. Yeah, I think that's going to be the challenge, and something I'm going to do based on the whelming experience that has been these conferences so far, and the abject annoyance with the music issues. Please work your shit out. Thank you to Square Enix for doing a DMCA-free version of the stream, at least. That was very helpful, because I didn't have to ride the mute the whole time. But I think it's imperative. It's a responsibility for those of us that talk about this stuff and have been doing this for a very long time, to not be jaded, to not just look for the shit, to go, yeah, okay, this was well done. Yeah, okay, this looks interesting. Do I really care if there's a samurai suit type character in Halo multiplayer? No, but if the Halo Infinite single player thing is more than 5 or 6 hours long, I might give it a try. I admit, I'm still sort of half in, half out. If they brought back couch co-op, I'd be back on Halo in a second. Okay, that's where I'm going to leave it. More E3 tomorrow. I won't be able to do the Tuesday stuff, unfortunately. No, I'll do a special video. I'll do a Wellness Wednesday and an E3 recap video on Wednesday, because that's Nintendo. And I need Nintendo. I'm holding out for Nintendo to give us really good games. Right, that didn't totally work, but I'm holding out for Nintendo. If Nintendo is exciting, it will salvage the whelm. Okay. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching.